Hey everybody, I'm excited to be reading a little bit from the one and only Ivan with you guys today. We are going to be reading pages 108 through 110, but before we get started, I just want to kind of recap, summarize a little bit, and the page right before, on page 107 and 106, we see that Ruby is in the ring by herself, and that is because Stella had a hurt foot, right? And she could not perform in the show, so they put Ruby in the show, and they love Ruby. She is a big hit, even though she doesn't look very comfortable and is a little bit sad and lonely. She is a big hit because she's a baby, she's new, she's exciting. The audience cooed, they clapped, and Ivan is not quite sure how he feels. He says, I don't know whether to be happy or sad. And I think that is probably because he thinks Ruby is going to have to be living a life kind of like the way Stella has had to live. And he feels bad for her. All right, so on page 108, this chapter is called Worry. When Julia arrives after the show, she brings 3 thick books, 1 pencil, and something she calls magic markers. Here, Ivan, she says, and she slides 2 magic markers and a piece of paper into my domain. I like the sundown colors, red and purple, but I don't feel like coloring. I'm worried about Stella. All evening, she's been quiet, and she hasn't eaten a bit of her dinner. Julia follows my gaze. Where is Stella anyway? She asks, and she goes to Stella's gate. Ruby extends her trunk, and Julia pats it. Hi, baby, she says. Is Stella all right? Stella is lying in a pile of dirty hay. Her breath is ragged. Dad, Julia calls, could you come here for a minute? George sets aside his mop. Do you think she's okay, Dad? Julia asks. Look at the way she's breathing. Can we call Mac? I think there's something really wrong. He must know about her, George rubs his chin. He always knows. But a vet costs money, Jules. Please, Julia's eyes are wet. Call him, Dad. George gazes at Stella. He puts his hands on his hips and sighs. He calls Mac. I can't hear all of his words, but I can see George's lips tighten into a grim line. Gorilla expressions and human expressions are a lot alike. Max says the vet's coming in the morning if Stella's not any better, he tells Julia. He says he's not going to let her die on him, not after all that money he's put into her. George strokes Julia's hair. She'll be all right. She's a tough old girl. Julia sits by Stella's domain until it's time to go home. She doesn't do her homework. She doesn't even draw. Now, I know that Julia is very worried about Stella. She is worried because she looks sick. She notices her breathing is not good, and she's hurt. She's old. Julia is very worried and sad, and I know that also because she's not even doing her favorite thing, which is drawing. She says she doesn't even feel like drawing. So I really hope that things get a little bit better. The next chapter is called The Promise. So we'll find out what the promise is.